All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Jermall Charlo has been accused of ducking Demetrius Andrade and a $7 million offer for a unification fight. He is accused of this once again by Chris Mannix, once again by Dazn, despite the fact that Jermall Charlo answered this question for Chris Mannix of Dazn. Chris Mannix still gets on his microphone and proceeds to tell stories to anybody and everybody that would listen to it, and it's a shame. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. So look, there's one thing that you learn is if you watch boxing every day and you read all the articles and you pay a lot of attention to the details that are behind fights, making of fights, the details after the fights. One thing that you'll learn is that the general boxing public has a very short memory, and that there are people in the media that rely on that. And they rely on that, and it allows them to say things that have already been disproved, that are already widely known not to be true, and that common sense should tell you is false. But that does not prevent them from pushing that story down the line so that they can, in lieu of providing real fights that people really want to see, accuse fighters from other networks of ducking fighters on their network so that they can come up with a justification for why I should continue to pay for that overpriced application. Now, let's get into the specifics of it. Jermall Charlo is the WBC 160-pound champion, and he just got done on his first pay-per-view against Sergey Derevyanchenko, and on the co-card, on the same card, along with Jermall Charlo and Jason Rosario. So, in the lead up to this, right? Well, let me say this. Jermall Charlo is the WBC champion. There's three other champions in that division. One is Canelo Alvarez with the WBA. The other is the IBF with Gennady Golovkin. And the last one is Demetrius Andrade with the WBO, right? Now, since Dazn has come into being, none of those guys have fought each other. None of them. Jermall Charlo has not fought Canelo, has not fought GGG, has not fought Demetrius Andrade. Demetrius Andrade hasn't fought any of the three. Canelo fought GGG before he got there. So there aren't any real top fights going on over there at 160 pounds on Dazn. For who? For Demetrius Andrade. But, so Dazn accuses Jermall Charlo. Now, this has been said before, right? This was several months ago. That's why I'm telling you, they count on the media, or excuse me, people not having long memories. But this was brought up a while ago, where Eddie Hearn and Jermall Charlo were going back and forth on text, and Jermall Charlo and Eddie Hearn said, "Hey man, I offered you $7 million," and he looked and he showed on the screen, right? Showed on the screen the $7 million. Now he didn't show who it went to, right? He didn't. Jermall Charlo told Eddie Hearn, he didn't send that to me. He sent that to somebody else. If that was real, I would have taken the fight. That's what Jermall said. If somebody had offered me $7 million, come on, man, I would have taken the fight. Of course he would have taken the fight for $7 million. He's not making $7 million, but this is Eddie Hearn that claimed that Eddie Hearn offered that $7 million, which was, and if I have to choose who I'm going to believe, Eddie Hearn or Jermall Charlo, I'm believing Jermall Charlo, because Eddie Hearn has got caught lying a bunch of times. A bunch of times. But then again, so is Chris Mannix. So, boom. They locked up like bosom buddies. Perfect for working for a network. I mean, I can't imagine talking to, knowing the way that Eddie Hearn behaves and how Chris Mannix behaves. I would hate to meet John Skipper, because I'm thinking, God dog, who in the heck would hire these type of guys, man? They're just so dishonest. So blatantly dishonest. But anyway, back then. Like, that was a while ago, right? But so you say, well, maybe Chris Mannix, when he blasts on Jermall Charlo and says Jermall Charlo is ducking the $7 million and Jermall needs to make the fight and come fight on DAZN, as if Jermall is going to leave pay-per-view to go fight you on DAZN, whatever. And Chris Mannix is in there, like, well, the fight could be on Fox, it could be here, it could be there. We just, man, please. You are going to try to have that fight on DAZN. But regardless, maybe Chris Mannix didn't know, right? Didn't know that that conversation had happened between Jermall Charlo and Eddie Hearn, where Jermall Charlo was telling Eddie Hearn, man, stop lying. You didn't send that to me, number one. And number two, if you had offered me $7 million, I would have taken $7 million. What do I look like, dude? $7 million for a unification fight on DAZN? If you really offered that, I would have taken it. Now, did he offer it along with, well, you have to fight the next 6 fights on DAZN and all of that? I suspect that there might have been some jankiness in that contract because that's what Deontay Wilder said about it. And maybe, but anyway, Jermall said he didn't see it. So it is just what it is. Now, but maybe Chris Mannix didn't know. Wrong. Because Chris Mannix was just on an interview with Jermall Charlo and brought this up during his fight. Now, Jermall Charlo is in a press conference for a fight that he is having in like 2 days, right? Against Sergey Deverenchenko on Showtime. Chris Mannix asked him about why he turned down Demetrius Andrade in the $7 million. And Jermall Charlo was like, man, I don't know what you're doing. First of all, that's not even true. None of that is true. And then Chris Mannix also tried to start some stuff about him and his brother being into it. And Jermall Charlo said again, man, leave me and my brother alone, man. But I see that you asking some BS questions. And since you asking these BS questions, I'm about to leave this interview. And then Chris Mannix, I do like you. I like you. Man, shut up. You just walked into this man's press conference, Jermall Charlo's press conference, which is supposed to ask questions about his fight coming up, but you who act like you're from Sports Illustrated, right? Because you're in the press conference because you're a Sports Illustrated writer, but then you turn around and put your DAZN hat on in the middle of your interview. And now you come back with it after Jermall told you it wasn't true? Why would you do that? Because Chris Mannix is a mouthpiece for DAZN. However, let's think for a second. Okay, is there any other reason for me to believe what Chris Mannix is saying outside of the fact that, he says it or Jermall denies it, right? Now, if Jermall Charlo goes to DAZN, right, what is waiting for him? Let's stop. Demetrius Andrade, that's where I want to go. He's ducking Demetrius Andrade. So, Demetrius Andrade, who already left his brother Jermall holding the bag in his first championship fight. Now, let's get this straight. Jermall Charlo, the guy that is now being talked about as being one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the world, Demetrius Andrade had a chance to fight him and ducked the fight. Now, ducking the fight isn't just relevant because it may seem that maybe Demetrius Andrade wasn't too excited about fighting Jermall Charlo, which would mean that he couldn't possibly be that excited about fighting Jermall Charlo. But also, besides that, Demetrius Andrade has not been able to actually get a fight on DAZN. So it's interesting that Chris Mannix would get up there and put all the pressure on Charlo to take a fight with Demetrius Andrade on DAZN for $7 million, but nowhere in the paperwork or in the conversations with Canelo Alvarez have I heard anybody say that Demetrius Andrade was offered a fight with Canelo Alvarez. Also, Gennady Golovkin also signed over there at DAZN. When have you seen Demetrius Andrade in the ring with Gennady Golovkin? You have not. Also, Daniel Jacobs. He was an IBF 160-pound champion, wasn't he? Before he lost to Canelo. Did you see Daniel Jacobs fight Demetrius Andrade? No, you did not. So, number one, Chris Mannix telling a story that he got straight from the horse's mouth, saying it was wrong. Said it to him on air. He kept running with the story as if he knows it's true, despite the fact that Jermall Charlo told him, no, he did not. Eddie Hearn, a known liar, did not send that to me, and my camp did not and my camp didn't review it with me, if it was sent at all. But what it was an email to somebody. Wasn't even a former offer. It was an email to somebody somewhere. Was it an email to Al Heyman? We don't know because Al Heyman doesn't say so. But anyway, man, look, I get real tired of these dudes in the media, man. Dazn, make a fight for Demetrius Andrade. I don't have a problem with Jermall Charlo versus Demetrius Andrade taking place. I don't. I don't like how they're going about trying to make it. I don't even know if they're really trying to make it. They very well just could be trying to save face with their network and explain why it is that they can't make any real good fights for Demetrius Andrade and American fighters in general on that network, and why I should continue to pay my money for their stuff. But anyway, it is what it is. You can see I'm frustrated. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.